What is going on, everyone? Apologies for the technical difficulties this morning. Uh, we were having some issues getting the space up and running. For some reason, Twitter was giving us a weird error and was not letting us start the space. Is everyone able to hear me? Just want to confirm. Either give me a thumbs up or just somebody say something. Just want to make sure. Awesome. Okay.
Yep, I
Thank
hear
you,
you
Carl.
okay.
Hello.
Sweet. Thank you, guys. All right, I think we still need to get OP Guild up here. I just sent you guys an invitation to speak, and then as well as Carmen. Speak. So I want to make sure we get everyone up here that needs to. Cool. Awesome. Chase, is that you over there in the OP Guild account? All right. Well, I think we have everything here. I'm going to real quick pin a couple tweets to the top of the space, and then we will get going. Once again, apologies for all the technical difficulties this morning. It seems like we've been having a lot of those with Twitter recently. But as we wait for more people to come in and who are listening with us live today, want to give a brief intro, especially for the people who are going to be joining us listening to the recording later. So hello everyone and welcome to episode 89 of the Hideout, where we will be discussing Web3 gaming and the Metaverse and some other cool topics. So my name is Spencer Vogel. I'm the business development manager for Apollo Entertainment, which is the company behind Satoshiverse and the Legions 2029 game. Normally we have our co-founder and CEO, Nick Frontera, up here on the Satoshiverse account, but he is currently at Korea Blockchain Week, and it is the middle of the night there for him. So we're giving him, some time off from doing this, not waking him up in the middle of the night to run the space. But very happy to be hosting in his stead today. So we've been building in the space for about the last 4 years, starting in 2020, when we released one of the first Bitcoin themed superhero IPs in collaboration with legendary comic artist Jose Delbo, who is a huge artist for both Marvel and DC, as well as in the NFT and crypto space. And we've evolved the project since into a gaming universe with our Legions 2029 game. Very high level Legions 2029 is a fast paced hack and slash game with both roguelike and RPG elements. It's completely blockchain enabled, where your progress in the game gets stored within the NFT metadata for your characters and your gaming items. There's definitely a lot more to say about the game, but just for the interest of time, I posted a couple pinned tweets to the top of the space, so you can check out some gameplay footage and get a sense of what we're talking about here, as well as some of our upcoming initiatives and current initiatives, actually, like our Season 1 Battle Pass tournament and also our Game 7 integration with their new quest feature on Hyperplay, which we're really, really excited about. That is enough about us. Very, very excited to have our panel today. Some really awesome guests and some friends that we've had on, a bunch of times before. So really excited to have you guys all back. So we're going to start off with introductions, but first, just want to say that if you guys, any of our speakers, have anything that you guys would like to pin to the top of the space to kind of represent what you're talking about visually, feel free to do that. So awesome. Let's move on to introductions, and I'll call on each of you. And so just tell us a bit about yourself, your background in the space, and what you're building. And maybe Carl, why don't you give us the start?
What's up, guys? This is Carl Choi from 24/7 Comics. I'm the publisher and co-founder. So we are the new brand in town for comic books. We are really leveraging technology to disrupt the comic book industry, kind of long neglected by technology. And we're big believers in Web3 and how that plays into the format. Obviously, alongside comics and crypto, we're big proponents of Vivi and what they're doing for Web3 and traditional IP. So we're here as an IP company, and where we play in gaming is we often work with gaming companies to option out and license out our IP to help build new products alongside their engine. So excited to support what you guys are doing as always, and we've been long-term partners, so excited to just have more chats as to what's happening in Web3 today.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl. Really appreciate you joining us. Funcho, why don't you go next?
No problem. Glad to be here. Thank you for the invite. Nice to be back. And good to hear your voice again, Spencer. And it's great to share the stage with some new and also familiar friends as well. On Fun Show, I am the co-founder and CEO of Sharetopia. I've been in the space as a builder, educator and investor for about too long now, over 7.5 years. And we are building a gaming ecosystem which allows people to be able to play mini games. It has cool Web3 technology. We've got an open world with RPG games, really fun mini games that people can play, like parkour, runners, swimming games. And we're bringing the old school fun of gaming back, and also creating a safe gaming environment, not only for kids, but for parents and for people with mental health problems, people that suffer from bullying, all that kind of thing, because we feel it's a very important area that not enough focus is on. So we want to produce something amazing, but also ensure that everyone that's experiencing it is kept safe and sound. And I'm looking forward to getting into the meat and bones of the topic today and hearing everybody else.
Awesome. Thank you, Funcho. So I don't know. I hear that there's a typing issue going on. I think I'm having some issues with the muting on on spaces here. So apologies if there's any typing sounds that you're hearing. And I guess if anybody else might be typing and it's not me, then try to be careful with the mute just to make sure. So next, let's go to Carmen.
Hey guys. Hey Spencer. So good to be here. So this is Carmen, aka DigiNets at the back, but I'm taking over the over the reality account. I literally have been around, in the AR space since about 2009, and I've been dreaming of a company that is over the reality. I found them in 2021. So what Over is, they're a spatial computing platform whose vision is to literally augment the physical world with geolocalized AR content. So in other words, content that is customized to specific geographic locations. We have a digital layer over the physical world that's divided into hexagons where people can literally buy, rent, or sell the digital spaces over real physical locations. Currently, we have a DPIN arm called Map to Earn, where we have a network of 1,500 active mappers. They go around the world to create detailed 3D maps of locations using their mobile phones with a technology called Gaussian splatting and BPS. And this is really important because if we believe that the future is in augmented reality, then these maps are literally creating the portals to that future. And that's it for now.
Amazing. Thanks again for joining us once more, Carmen. And then lastly, we have OP Guild. I think that's Chase on the line over there. Hey, OP Guild, are you guys able to hear us?
Spencer,
All right.
just to put it out there, I know that there is an issue at the moment with people thinking that they're muted, but they're not. That's been happening on spaces a lot. So sometimes
Gotcha.
just click it and you'll realize that actually you weren't muted.
Got it. Well, thanks for informing us of the known issue. Yeah, OP Guild, if you're able to figure out how to unmute yourself, yeah, go ahead and unmute. But otherwise, I think we'll move on for now. And then if you're able to get in, maybe try leaving this space and coming back in. That might help. And then we'll hopefully be able to get you on to speak. So real quick, before I introduce Lau, who's going to be asking the questions for us today, just want to go over the format of the space real quick. So we're going to be doing, both some group questions, where, Lau will ask the question, and then feel free, she'll call on someone to start for the question, and then feel free to just jump in the conversation from there. Then we'll have individual questions for each of you guys. And then if we have more time at the end, we'll get into some group questions once more. One other housekeeping item is that we do a giveaway every week on our show, and right now I'm going to pin a tweet. So the tweet that I just pinned says, "We're live." In order to enter our giveaway, which is for 5 Satoshi's Crystals, which is our main in-game resource for Satoshiverse, basically allows you to upgrade your characters and your items within the game. Very, very important resource. All you have to do is repost that tweet that says "We're live," that is pinned at the top of the space. And then basically just still be here at the end of the space when we choose our winner. And that is pretty much it. And then I think I just see a request from Chase Frio, so that might be him. See if we can get him on stage. Hey, Chase, are you able to hear us now? All right. Well, looks like we're still having some issues. Either way, I'm going to pass it over to Lau, our head of social media, and she will basically take us from there.
Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Yeah.
Awesome. My name is Laura, and I am the Partnerships and Community Manager. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to have all these amazing guests in one of the most chaotic spaces that I've ever experienced. Like, please get your stuff together. Thank you so much. Okay, so how about we start with like the questions I have first on everyone question, and I would love if, let's see, Carmen, if you start answering, and then everyone can just jump in. So the first question that we have is, in what ways do you think NFTs will most significantly impact society in the next 2 to 3 years?
Oh man, I think you're doing that ladies first kind of thing, Laura. Okay, that's kind of like a big question for me because there's so many things going on in my head, and we all know what we know because we are in the crypto, Web3, Twitter X spaces. For me personally, wow, you're seeing a lot of like DeepIn projects and RWA real world assets coming into the space where Web2 people are really getting serious about the blockchain and crypto. So for me, I feel as if NFTs, we're going to start seeing NFTs or a type of tokenization being used in certain verticals or industries, like we all know real estate, even some of our like identification and stuff like that. So in the next 2 to 3 years, I feel like we're going to see more buzz and conversations on how NFTs can have utility, merging with like real world assets and Web 2.
Yeah, Carmen, I would definitely agree with you on that. I mean, at least on this question on the kind of the time frame of 2 to 3 years, I'm not sure if like kind of like the more like Web3 native assets, or like, Web3 native IPs, will totally catch on and really connect with, Web2 users in that time frame. But I am definitely seeing things like the DeepIn platforms, the RWA platforms. I think it definitely, it just clicks a little bit better for people. And, kind of being able to see, kind of the tangibility and being able to see things like physical collectibles or mortgage contracts or things that they're used to, and being able to see those things represented in the digital space and having it, be something they know that they can own and have full control over and all that. I think, I think that is definitely going to really click with people. So I think those are going to be the things that are, going to catch on more, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years. And we might see some, some like applications like gaming, and, maybe like rewards programs and like things that are kind of like a little more obfuscated, in terms of kind of the blockchain tech side of things. But yeah, I'm really excited for the RWA side of things for sure. Yeah, Funcho, yeah, feel free to just drop in.
So I didn't want to be rude and just jump in. So, yeah,
No, you're good.
Thank you. Yeah, It's a weird one for me because as a builder, I'm looking at it in a slightly different light. And 2 to 3 years to me, in crypto, it might seem like an age because things are changing all the time. But I'm thinking real world adoption here for people that don't interact with Web3 technology at all. And in 2 to 3 years, where do I see that's actually going to come into fruition? So I think that you're going to see this significant impact on society across like a number of different areas. First of all, I think we're completely going to revolutionize the creative economy. So you're going to have artists, musicians, content creators, streamers, etc., that are going to be able to create new revenue streams and control over their intellectual property. And obviously a shift like that is going to empower creators to monetize their work directly without relying on traditional intermediaries. And I think it's going to open their eyes up to that, and you'll see a massive knock-on effect. The second thing, NFTs are going to drive innovation in digital identity. So I completely agree with what was said earlier, 100%. And ownership, because our lives are becoming increasingly digital. NFTs can offer that kind of secure and verifiable way to own and trade digital assets, whether it's real estate, personal data, whatever it may be. There's some fantastic things that I've heard projects are working on, and it makes sense to me. And then lastly, I think that NFTs could reshape how we perceive and engage with our culture, community. And that's more so through the fractional ownership side of things. I think it's going to enable that massively. Access to exclusive content, NFTs that create new opportunities for community building and shared experiences. And it's kind of going to blur the lines between digital and physical worlds. Overall, while the technology is still evolving, the potential for NFTs to redefine value, ownership, and creativity for me is just immense. It's huge. And I think the societal impact is just going to grow as adoption increases. So that's kind of how I see it.
Love it. Yeah, I feel like I just because I've been in this space for so long, and I feel like it's taken so long for adoption to happen. I can tend to take a little bit more of a cynical view on it, especially the speed that things are going to happen. But yeah, Carl, curious your thoughts.
I think it's evolving. I think adoption is going to happen when the technology disappears so that we don't even have to talk about it anymore. I think most folks are more lazier than they are cheap. And so you have to just let them understand how it benefits them through practical usage. So I do feel like a lot of times, within the Web3 space, tech has been so heavily emphasized. Web3 at one point has to have some sort of brand, kind of like a Google or Facebook, where anyone can pick up, sign in, check in, and be part of. Unfortunately, as much as we're big fans of the centralized ecosystem, for folks to fully comprehend, the benefits of holding their own wallet or not, it means it's going to have to be part of a system that they could trust. And unfortunately, people just, and unfortunately or fortunately, I think people trust people more than they trust technology. So I do feel like it's going to be a brand that's going to surface, that's going to establish this idea of true ownership, which is something VV is doing in the comic book space. And then on the wider world, I think it's probably going to adhere to government toll adaptation, where unfortunately it does kind of, comes right back around where we do lose that control and decentralization. But it's that government trust that, is going to establish a wider adaptation. So that's kind of how I see it. I don't know if NFTs will be the terminology because it becomes such a bad word in kind of the larger landscape of media. But, there will be some sort of adaptation through new terminology, which will essentially be probably NFTs, but just be called something else.
Chase, do we got you up here? If you're able to hear us, and
Finally, I'm sorry guys for someone.
there we go. We got it.
I can't seem to get onto the OP Guild Twitter account, so I'm logging in using my personal account. But hello everybody, my name is Chase. I'm the CEO and co-founder of OP Games, to a wider umbrella that also includes OP Guild and a couple of other products. But it's glad to be back here. I've always been a believer of like helping out in general, like bringing in more people into the space as much as possible. And so like this conversations about like whether it's NFT who's going to sort of like fuel that growth or fuel that adoption is it's always been contentious, right? Like it's always been a point of conversation over the last couple of years. I think being here since I guess gaming in general in Web3 since 2017. My view has changed over the last couple of years. And I think that one thing is pretty determinate in terms of like how I see the future in general. Not that I'm a fortune teller or anything like that, but I do think that to a wider extent, NFTs will play a pivotal role in the same way that gaming and being able to bring in more of these users and this we call adopters in place to really show everybody else exactly like what our technology can do or what this technology can do. There's always been a talk about adoption, and as well as like abstraction being kind of like a match that needs to be put together, which to a certain degree I do agree, because of the fact that a lot of times like when we talk so much about technology, and we tend to forget about the human experience, we alienate a lot of folks that could have been very interested in finding out exactly what's going on in our space. So yeah, that's initially what I was thinking of. But thanks for having me here, and sorry about the delay. I suppose you guys were calling on my name a while ago, and I'm not responding at all.
You're all good. Glad that we could finally get you up here, though, and appreciate your response to the question. Lau, I will, unless anybody else has anything else to add, I'll throw it back to you to continue the conversation.
Yes. Okay, so the next question that we have is for Carl. So Carl, how do you think new publishing models in Web3 can help creators release their art, reach new audiences, and get compensated for their work?
I think it just goes back to publishing catching up. I don't know what this is going to look like. I know Google has been looking into publishing for a long time, so that's Facebook. But if, just to kind of give some insight into the publishing industry, it moves very slow. So often when you think about books or comic books, they have 2 to 3 year out when it comes to, planning for releases. So that's kind of why you see a lot more of the art books doing well, because art is typically timeless. But when it comes to informational material, a lot of folks are finding, their reading habits moving on online or moving to Audible and listening because we're always on the road and we want information much faster. And so, number one, I think publishing as an industry has to change. And the only way it's going to change, I think it's getting rid of the old guards, or through acquisition. Like if a Google bought like a Penguin Random House, then they'll be forced to integrate technology. But until something like that happens, it just won't happen. I think that also then number two goes to kind of the global adoption of such things, because the reasoning why publishing moves very slow is there's just a lot of work when it comes to crossing territories, when it comes to cross language. Any type of translation takes a lot of time. So until there's a day where you and I can make a call out to Saudi Arabia and be able to fully, through technology, have a conversation while speaking English while the other side is speaking Arabic. I don't think the publishing business will change much. You will need the time needed for editorial as far as translation and planning. And then I think the third part is really about, the openness to that. And I think with the new authorships and the folks who are now kind of the storytellers of our time, there is a true, adaptation, to the new ways of storytelling that's happening on social media that we all see. So I think it's going to take some time, but, the evolution is inevitable, and I think we'll get there. It's just going to, mean a few major changes within the old guards.
Awesome. Well, you obviously know, Carl, that I'm a huge fan of what you guys are trying to do to disrupt the publishing model, and I'm just gonna plug it for you guys because I'm excited about it. 24/7 has a Kickstarter going on right now for Zero Ghost #1, which is one of the series that they've put out as an independent comic publisher. So everyone definitely go check that out if you haven't. And I believe Carl actually just pinned something about it to the top of the space. So definitely go check that out. So yeah, Lau, moving on to you.
Thank you so much, Carl. Okay, now the next question that I have is for Funshow. How do you think Web3 can help make online spaces like games safer?
Good question. Okay. I think there's a number of ways. I know there's ways in which we're working on, but the ones that jump out immediately at me are decentralized ownership and governance. So Web3 obviously allows for decentralized ownership, and you've got a number of different online platforms that can help with that. With us, with Sharetopia, it means that players and community members can have a direct say in the rules, the policies, the moderation practices. And this is done in a fair, transparent way through decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs. So we believe that a community-driven approach can lead to a more democratic and fair decision-making process. We've always wanted to have involvement from our community, whether it's in the development aspect or anything else. We see more heads as better than one, plus they're the ones that are interacting on a regular basis with the product that we're building. So look, things like reducing arbitrary biased actions from a central authority, to me, are very important for the future of the space. The other two things that I would mention are privacy and security. So again, Web3 can obviously help dramatically with that. In Sharetopia, players control their own data through blockchain-based identities, and that obviously ensures that sensitive information is not stored or misused by any third parties. And I think this kind of self-sovereign identity system can help prevent a lot of common issues like hacking, data breaches, identity theft. Obviously, education is very important because people still need to know what they're interacting with, but it does help make the gaming space safer for all participants. But there's also another elephant in the room, and that's AI, artificial intelligence. So if we're talking about creating a safer or more enhanced experience for gamers, that's something that we massively believe in the future of. And we are utilizing AI to make sure that everyone that's playing our games is in a safe environment, that any form of chat is filtered so that swear words, racist words, anything of that nature can't be sent to other players, which we believe very strongly about. We are not your typical online game in the sense that you see your Call of Duties, your FIFAs, your GTAs, and some of those lobbies can be very toxic. We're trying to create an environment that is fun, engaging, and fits all age groups, and is more Nintendo vibes. And it's very important from our respect to keep it a safe and bully-free environment. So they're the areas that I would say.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean that's so important. I mean, I feel like especially in, I mean, our space is totally online, so there's just so many different things that can go wrong and so many different threats and all that. And I feel like there are so few platforms that are really focusing on, kind of what the future looks like for kids who are going to be growing up with this technology. So it's amazing to see, that there is some projects out there that are actually focusing on that, because that is going to be such an important thing going forward that I think, yeah, like I said, just very few people are thinking about.
And Spencer, if you don't mind, just to add on, just so that people understand where I'm coming from with this, like you've got to put yourself in a certain position. I'm a 42-year-old man with 3 children. Okay, so my daughter loves Fortnite, loves Roblox, was playing them all the time. She was suffering some bullying at school, which was manageable. We spoke to the teachers, that all got sorted out. But when she'd come home and played the video games, that's when it got nasty. People are way more nasty online than to your face. It's just a fact. That's how it is, especially if they don't know you and they're from a completely different country. So you've got to bear in mind that there are kids that are getting bullied, that are having real bad obscenities said to them. And the problem starts from the core, because how can I, as an example, as a 42-year-old man, say anything I want online in a chat room or a lobby with an 8-year-old girl? That's not right in itself. We need to be protecting our kids, our future generations, but we also can't make it completely unfair on them to have a situation where, imagine they don't get to play a lot of the video games that they really love and enjoy because parents are too worried about this happening. So I've reached out directly to Epic Games and other companies and said to them, look, this is a major problem. What's being done about it? Didn't even get a reply. However, there are some gaming companies that are starting to record the conversations that take place in these lobbies. And if they're finding anyone that breaches what their original conditions are on how they should communicate, they'll ban their account. Now, that's great, but it's only a deterrent, because that same individual that did that can just go and set up a new account, start playing again, and do the same thing again. And I'm very passionate about it because my own child's been through it. So I really believe that we have to, as builders in this space, no matter what industry it is, if there's any form of communication between humans, that we're making sure we do everything we possibly can to create safe environments for everyone that's involved, no matter what age they are.
Awesome. Lau, you want to move us on along to the next question?
Yes. Okay, thank you so much for that. I completely agree. We have to make our best and our biggest effort to make this a safe space for everyone. Okay, our next question is for Chase. And also, Chase, if you want to have the opportunity to introduce what OP Guild is, because you didn't have the chance at the beginning, go ahead. So your question is, why do you think Web3 gaming guilds are beneficial to both gamers and game developers?
That's thank you so much, Laura. But yeah, just to sort of like quickly, briefly introduce OP Guild. So OP Guild is our newest initiative with OP Games. Given that we are a game publisher, we are a gaming platform, and we also are a game tooling and infrastructure platform as well. We wanted to sort of like complete the entire picture, and being a games publisher for the last 15 years, I reckon that it would be good to have a guild specifically geared towards game developers to help them get into Web3. And that is the main focus of OP Guild at the moment. Right now, we do have about 3,500 game developers. Most of them are fairly new to Web3 or have no idea how to do Web3 in general, probably their first time to create a wallet. But I've been building games over the last couple of years, while working on a full-time job and so on and so forth. But to answer your question, I think guild, clans, however we may call them, has always been an essential part of human existence, right? In all of history in general. We do have player guilds right now in Web3. We did have a lot of guilds back in the days when we were publishing Web2 games as well, because there is some semblance of feeling of safety, a feeling of community, of camaraderie with being a part of an organization, or being a part of a clan, a guild, a clique, or a group, or whatever we may call that, right? And that's kind of like what we really want to do with OP Guild as well, is that I think it is very, very important for us to be able to advance the cause, but at the same time not do it individually, because it will take us time to get things done if we're all kind of like separated in such a way. And so the way we want to emphasize, having a guild of sort within a Web3 game, within the gaming community, within the game developer community, is that there is strength in numbers, and we've seen that time and again, right? That we as a society are social creatures. We do look up to each other for support, for guidance, for just being able to actually function somewhere where normally an individual will have a hard time. And Web3, for example, is a it's a wild west, right? When I entered in 2018, build as a builder, it was terribly difficult. And I had wished that, I know of other founders during that time that I could have had time to banter with, to really work with ideas and all this stuff. And I think that with game developers is the same thing. Speaking for OP Guild in general, the purpose of the guild really is to bring in all of these game developers into a circle together, but at the same time allowing us to really help them understand the complexities and the intricacies of being in the Web3 space. You look at Web3 as a waterfall, and a waterfall that is basically filled with layer ones, with wallets, with L2s and L3s and all that stuff. And individually, it would be daunting, and at the same time, kind of like really difficult for us to be able to see exactly or steer these game developers into a direction where they should be in, right? Not saying that there is just one direction for them, but at the same time, we remove that tyranny of choice in the very beginning. Kind of like when you're standing in front of a buffet and there's just so many food to eat, and you're like, I don't know which to eat. Do I eat this or what, right? And so we want to simplify it for them, but at the same time, once they start learning all of these intricacies in Web3 and like the toolings and the stuff that they need to use, they could go on and sort of like explore more until they are fully capable of like understanding everything else that comes along their way. And for us, like the guild in itself provides not just learning opportunity, but opportunities for engagement with other infrastructure partners that we're working with, so that these game developers kind of like have a head start of how to build, where to build, and then pretty much like really be all set and squared away on their own terms once they are fully embrace that technology together. And I think that's the beauty of guilds in general. And being in Web3 or even in Web2, there's no difference really, other than bonded together by a similar core sets of values and goals, and doing it together as opposed to doing it independently.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, like there's so many of these player guilds out there, but yeah, first time I'm hearing of a guild really focused on gaming developers, and yeah, just with the kind of the extreme learning curve with Web3, I feel like it's very, very necessary in the
Even more
space. So
necessary, because when I
Lau, I heard you start talking there, but then you cut out.
Yeah, I think we lost Laura or something. But yeah, she started talking.
Gotta love it.
Can you guys hear me
now we can hear you. Yeah.
Now I can hear
Welcome
you.
back.
Yeah, there you go.
Yay! I was giving such an insightful answer. I was like, oh yeah, I feel very passionate about this. No, I was saying that I think projects like that are incredibly important, because I remember that when I started the NFT space, I didn't know I was going to start in the NFT space. I just remember interviewing for a job, and they were like, oh, do you know what NFTs are? And I was like, no. And that's how my journey started. So I think just like guilds that allow people to know that they're joining the NFT space and give them the tools and connect them with people in the space because they want to be in the space, I think that's incredibly important. So yay, go OP Guild.
Thank you.
Okay, now
No,
Sorry.
no, just a quick one. So if anybody is interested in joining the guild, this is not just for the game developers. This is also for existing infrastructure within the Web3 space that also wanted to reach out to these game developers. You are more than welcome to actually join the guild, because we need more people to. It's not just a one man thing, right? Like everybody is welcome to be part of the guild and herd all of these well-meaning game developers to fully understand our space.
Thank you so much. Okay, now our next question is for Carmen. Carmen, what do you see as the biggest opportunities at the intersection of Web3 and augmented mixed reality?
Oh wow. I love AR. For me, I think it's really content creation and the fact that with creating content in AR and in Web3, we're going to actually get to see like phenomenal user experiences, and not to mention the types of communities we can build. Like Sharetopia had, identified some of the key players or key concepts that we're going to look forward to, if not happening now. OP Guild had shared some of his insights as well. And yeah, like, so especially with AR in relationship to over the reality, because Overspatial is a spatial computing platform that's literally building out the future of AR in gaming and merging the digital and physical worlds, like via digital twin creation through their 3D mapping. It's Over is really a digital canvas for creators. So what I'm excited about is the onboarding of more game developers. Now, I'm not saying like the AAA games, but indie games and AAA games, which I'll mention later on, into the Web3 space. And I know we're not there yet. Like there's so much. We still talk about security, interoperability, and managing data and securities of blockchain and the pricing of, like, I know it's insane, but I'm really excited because I'm starting to see like trickles of like puzzles being put together. And I know we're not there yet, but at least we're having this conversation. And I must say, you know, that rumor that GTA 6 might be integrating like crypto as a reward. I don't know if it's a rumor and they're just using like headliners for attention. But guys, a AAA game like GTA, and if they actually implement some type of crypto into the reward system, this is huge. I mean, you know, like we've all been saying, you know, gaming is going to be the, you know, what's the tipping point of Web3 adoption? Like, what's the tipping point? And a lot of people are saying, well, it's gaming, it's the gaming, it's gaming. But then you're seeing DePIN and real world assets conversations, and I'm like, well, I don't know, because like there's also talk of real world assets getting into Web3. But then you have like this news that came out, like this rumor that GTA 6 might include like crypto as rewards. That is huge. You know, that's huge because number one, do you know how many, like millions of users, and that gives validity to crypto. That will give like GTA 6 an in-world an in-world currency, like similar to what like Roblox uses or Linden Labs Second Life or whatever. But that gives validity to the platform and everything else. So, oh my God, I think I'm just going nuts with my head. I'm going in circles. I'm sorry if I'm not answering the question, but I'm really excited about this whole, the opportunities that mixed reality, particularly augmented reality, will bring to everything: sports and entertainment, music, retail brands, even us, like education, because literally we have a digital platform where we can merge like AR content with real world. I gotta say this. I attended my first augmented reality developer camp in 2009 after I've been such an active content creator in Second Life. And in 2009, when I saw the use cases of AR, I was like, oh my God, can't we just have a platform where we can create content like we do in Second Life over the real world? And then Over came in 2020. I mean, I found Over in 2021 and here we are. But we're still here. Like there's still talks about AR and what's going on and stuff like that, but I've never really seen traction. Like you've seen brands building out AR stuff, like, like integrating in their experiential marketing, and then what? Like it's just buzzwords for me, but I really feel like there's going to be some traction in the future. I mean, we're building out the traction now, like all of us in the space. And hey, 247, I love that the comic space is here. I love comics. So I'm really happy to see like the whole comics industry coming on, because can you imagine comics, NFTs? You get the picture, yada, 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 the roadmap for all this. Okay. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, well, comic NFTs have
Thank you so
been out
much, Carmen.
for a very, very long
I love
time.
having you on because you're always so excited. It makes me so excited about AR. So it's amazing. Thank you. Okay, before I move on to the last everyone question, because we still have time, I would like to remind everyone that's listening that we have a giveaway. So if you go retweet our live now tweet, that is pinned, you can like participate for 5 Satoshi's crystals, 5 amazing, juicy, and if you put your imagination, crunchy Satoshi's crystals. So please go and retweet. Okay, so our next question is, what do you think are the biggest barriers to entry for Web2 users making the jump into Web3? And how about we start with Carl responding?
I'll speak on behalf of the comic scene. I think when it comes to arts and tech, there's always a resistance. I think Steve Jobs was really smart in targeting the creative because creatives do drive trends. But the way Web3 was introduced to the Web2 audience was a bit disruptive. I think in the midst of the NFT space, there was a lot of promises made that unfortunately a lot of companies didn't keep with creators. And so the potential of creators having an ongoing earnings on the blockchain, in all idealism is amazing. But the problem was there's a lot of projects that didn't uphold their promises to these creators who spent hours and hours of work delivering for a project, and then all of a sudden they get rugged. And so there's major reputational risks given when it comes to Web3. So a lot of creators themselves do not want anything to do with it. So that's I think challenge number one. I think challenge number two is just the clunkiness of it all. I mean, until kind of like what I mentioned earlier, a layer 2, a layer 3, very minimal, gas transaction fees are involved when it comes to using the blockchain. I think it's going to be really hard to get folks to want to adopt and understand it in the right way. And then number 3 is just, ethics. I think right now, it's anything crypto related is financialized creativity. So in a way, whether you like it or not, there is financial assignment to everything, because it's tied to crypto, which is a financial vehicle. And so what's happening today is, as much as you want to proliferate stories, art, any creativity, people are always going to assess you with those financial eyes, which are typically not the same. Often when you think about investors in movies or investors in comics, they are not typically financialized mindsets. They're typically driven by passion, driven by impact, driven by stories that moves them. But when it comes to then going through the lens of investing in Hollywood per se, one of the jokes we always tell is, how do you become a millionaire in Hollywood? And the answer is, be a billionaire first. Often is not really about making that money. Often we praise the hits, we praise the box office global hits, but the reason Hollywood exists is really due to passion and excitement for storytelling. And you kind of have to look at comics in a very similar path and similar way. But unfortunately, I think there's that clash with the financialization of everything crypto. So those are the 3 challenges when it comes to, folks transitioning from Web 2 to Web 3, that I think Web 2, had its time. Like Web 2 had to evolve and brands had to, elicit trust before, worldwide adoption. And I feel like it's going to be similar, kind of battles that Web3 will have to, kind of face on its own.
Yeah, I think just generally it's kind of just the media perception and kind of, I guess the public perception as a result of what the media is painted it as. And a lot of that comes from real problems in the space, like, major scammers. Are you guys able to hear me speak, by the way?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I just got a message from Lau. I guess she wasn't able to hear me. But like real
Does
problems in
anyone
the
have
space.
anything else that they want to add?
So you
I
two
think
can't hear
we're
each
having
other.
some issues here. Okay, I just sent her a message, but just to close out my thought real quick. Like, there's real problems in our space, in that there's scammers, and there's people who are hacking constantly, and people who are really out there and want to take your money, which is an unfortunate truth. And I think until a lot of those things go away, and until people feel safe, in this space, I think it's going to be hard to bring people in. And I think a lot of people are also just not willing to be responsible for their own money and to do self custody, and which can be very scary, especially when you're used to kind of just having a bank and being able to do things in that way. And then I think the last piece is really just like education. Like, I think, we really just need people to, really, really focus on learning, cause there's just so many, just little idiosyncrasies and just like so much terminology in our space that anybody coming in for the first time would just be completely overwhelmed. So, having better education in place, I think would also be, would also go a long way.
No, I completely agree. I think the complexity and the learning curve is like critical to get this where we need it to be. Now, there's two ways you can look at this, right? You can go down, everyone's got to understand blockchain technology and understand everything to the same level as all of us that are in the space and who are builders. And what I know, one of you guys don't know, and what you know, I don't know. I mean, it's a constant evolving framework and space that we're in that moves at 100 mile an hour. Now, for gaming, we don't want to make it complicated for the user. Easy explanation for you. I'm a gamer and I have no Web3 knowledge whatsoever. And I come to play a Web3 game. So can I just start playing? Or now I've got to go and set up a MetaMask wallet and write down the seed phrase and understand the risks that are there. And I've got to fund my wallet and I've got to set up KYC and get an exchange and God knows how many other things. That was way too much of a problem. People that were in this space that understand it, not as much of a complexity, but still way too much. It's too many steps that are required to be taken. So we need to create much better user experiences for people. So what we've done is we've teamed up with an amazing wallet provider called Sequence. What that allows us to do is a player can come, play the game. All they do is log in with their Gmail account. As soon as they've done that, it creates a wallet for them in the background. They can just start playing. They don't need to know anything about Web3. And while they're playing, they're actually able to earn in the background. And they don't even realize this at the time. But when they come to want to interact, or if they come to want to interact with the Web3 technology, we're giving it to them in bite-sized pieces at their own pace when they're ready. Nothing forced upon them. The people that want to dive down the rabbit hole immediately, they can do that. The information's there, the onboarding's there, the experience is there. But if they just want to come and play a game and have fun and leave and come back and do the same again, I want that option to be there for them. And that, for me, from a gaming perspective, is one of the best ways that we can create a bridge between a normal gamer that does not understand Web3 and blockchain technology and a Web3 gamer that understands it extremely well. Because it's so important to not boggle people's mind immediately. We're not all the same. We don't all react to educational content in the same way. And this space creates a huge opportunity from an education perspective, because of the technology that's there, we can use artificial intelligence to enhance that experience. We can gamify education. And look at the metaverse, look at augmented reality, look at virtual reality. We're at a point now where you could get Ronaldo, who's an amazing football player, to put on his suit and all his little sensors everywhere and take a free kick and have that recorded and then made into an experience that a kid can put on a VR headset in his garden and not only learn how to take a free kick from a professional, but they're actually learning in a better way than what any coach could teach them, because you're learning directly from the source. That to me is mind-blowing. Like the whole concept of Ready Player One, we are a lot closer than what a lot of people may think. And I just think that yes, there are a lot of security concerns, fears of scams and hacks, but that all comes down to the education. It comes down to the onboarding. You know, for me, education is one of the most critical things this space has to focus on to ensure that it's going to see the success and growth that we all believe it can have. But we all have to educate each other about all of these amazing ecosystems, and every single industry on the planet is being disrupted in some way, shape or form from this technology. But of course, you've also got economic barriers, the cost of entry. Participating in a lot of these games will require a user to invest in crypto or purchase an NFT. That could be expensive depending on what chain it's on, a whole new education course that needs to be given to the user. So what we've chosen to do is make our everything free to play, free to learn, and free to earn. That way, we're giving the option to the user. We're not forcing it on them. And if they want to interact with the content, they can. They'll be incentivized to do so, because we do want to see people adopt this tech, but we don't want to force anybody into a position where they're not going to feel comfortable.
Awesome. Well, in the interest of time, I am going to move along to close out our space here, just because we are already past the hour. Real quick, I want to announce our giveaway winner for 5 Satoshi's crystals. The winner this week is a member of our community, Underworld, or at Dogma Cats. See you down there rocking the Satoshiverse Legionnaires PFP. So make sure to send us a DM on the Satoshiverse account with your Satoshiverse username, and we'll make sure to drop those Satoshi's crystals into your account. I just want to say thank you so much for all of our guests coming out today. It's been a great conversation despite all the technical difficulties. X, once again, it is what it is. We try to run our spaces, and sometimes there's some barriers, but here we are, and glad we could make it happen. Just as a reminder, we posted some stuff on the top of the space from Satoshiverse. If you're not familiar with Satoshiverse, check out our gameplay trailers, check out a couple of our initiatives that we have going on. And then I want to leave the floor to our guests. If any of you have any final words, anything you want to plug before you leave, I will leave the floor to you guys, and then I will close the space out.
Cool. Thanks.
Not much on my end.
Thanks for setting this up. Always love hanging out with the Satoshiverse team, but like Spencer mentioned earlier, we do have a Kickstarter active right now, pinned above. It's for Zero Ghost by Justin Jordan and Brian Ching, who was the artist for Star Wars for about a decade. So if you're familiar with the Knights of the Old Republic, he's one of the co-creators. And Zero Ghost is awesome because it's like a John Wick meets Hannah meets Big Trouble in Little China in near futuristic Hong Kong. And we're about to hit our second stretch goal at 30K. So everything counts. So just click through. Or if you're not into comics and you know friends are into comics, I'm pretty sure, feel free to send them the link as well. I think every little bit helps, and we really appreciate this community coming along for the ride.
On my end, thank you, everybody. And if you are interested in joining the guild, it's not just for developers, it's also for everybody in the Web3 space who's building something, infrastructure, tooling, what have you. We'd be more than happy to to get you in front of our developers to start using what you're building. Thanks, everyone.
And I just wanted to quickly add that we are very close to launching our Gen S Battleground. It's going to be our first desktop game, which allows wagering between players. So if you like PvP, if you like fighting games like Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, then this will be right up your street. We've got our unique characters as well as a lot of very well-known characters that you guys would recognize from the space, like Doge, Pepe, Brett. We've got a lot of new characters coming too. I've just pinned something in the Jumbotron so you can have a look at the interns that were testing it out recently. And if any of you want to check out Rise of Sheertopia, our mobile game, it's on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store, free to download. And you can find the information on our profile page. And a huge thank you to Satoshiverse, Spencer, everyone up here, fantastic speakers, fantastic builders, and of course to everyone that is down in the audience, because without you, we've got nothing to build and we've got no one to speak to. So thank you guys.
Yeah, and so last but not least is Over the Reality. So I just like to invite everyone here to please follow Over the Reality. And you know what? Join the Map to Earn campaign. You'll be able to help build out the Web3 AR platform in addition to earning over tokens. So come on, guys, let's go. And thank you so much, Satoshiverse, Spencer, and Laura for reaching out. And it's always great to have everyone here. Have a great week, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Everyone who's listening, make sure to follow all these projects and all the amazing things they're building. I'm going to close out the space now. There's a little bit of a delay, so I'm going to let it sit quiet for about 30 seconds, but feel free to jump off. See ya.